Hello, hello, Zeteo here. Today we're doing some more AlphaCupV. And we're going to be looking more into the losers round 6. And today, let's see. Let's
Game started.
get this started. So today we're going to be looking at Kuchy, playing as our blue Armada player at the bottom right hand side of Desolation, and his opponents Marabello, spawning as our red Armada player at the top left. Now this map does have, like, it's an okay wins. The mexes are they're not too small. There's quite a few of them. Building up's not too much of a challenge, but it is a bit of a smaller map. And yeah, I think with these hills here, they certainly play a bit of a role. And I think this spawn from Kuchy is kind of interesting here. So he's got this more forward base. And it's going to be a little bit easier to, like, if he decides to, get to the middle position here, you can choke that off, right? And then just send units this way. Like, his commander can go up north. Units can go up from the south. And you can, like, pretty easily take these in the back from this position. As long as he, gets some scouts and some units out that way as well. And also, of course, up the other side. Marabello, a little bit further in the back here. A little bit more in a corner position. A little bit easier to defend early on, but at the same time, a little bit further away from that center position. So first ticks coming out here. Pawn for Kuchy. Marabello. A little bit behind on units. It looks like he made a con. Looks like Kuchy just now making a con. So yeah, just having a couple of early units out. Tick on tick violence. And it looks like Kuchy already, a little bit ahead. I wonder if he's going to get this tick all the way back home, maybe? Or at least back to safety so this other tick can pick off this tick. Yep, coming back with both now. And yeah, okay, unfortunately, Marabello not getting any kills whatsoever there. Kuchy doing another nice job on the other side of the map here as well. Some hurt ticks, but I mean, hurt ticks still deal 100% damage, so if they can get in the back of the base, it's going to be a big deal. Losing this con is a really big deal too, and that's really unfortunate. And then also losing these ticks, so yeah, I think Marabello here just already falling apart a little bit, unfortunately. This is a pretty significant damage at this point. That con is a really, really big deal. Especially since Marabello does not have any units on the other side of the map. But yeah, even wind turbines being threatened here as this pawn runs around. Is he going to maybe damage the... Yeah, he damages the solar, so that gets turned off for a moment. He's going to lose the pawn, of course, but, some pretty significant damage has been dealt. Two mechs is, not really the biggest of deals. It's more the energy is a big deal. Or, losing both, an even bigger deal, of course. And yeah... Shoot, even losing all that energy, this can't feel good. But yeah, this is what you gotta deal with if you're playing against someone of Kuchy's, caliber here. Is, there's a lot of potential damage. And if you don't handle it just right, like, you're gonna be in some trouble here. And of course, there's nerves and stuff that play into this, so, I don't want to give red here, too hard of a time. Sometimes games like this just happen. And, yeah, to not have any energy except this one soul wind turbine can't feel good, though. Having to rebuild those mexes, having to rebuild the energy, and then also just having too few units out here to actually defend anything. So I don't think this game's going to go on for terribly long as he loses the rest of his mexes and that one wind turbine. And GG's called. So, yeah, Kuchy takes game number 1 in under 4 minutes here.
Battle ended.
And yeah, we'll get into our second game here in a moment. But yeah, since it is a smaller map, like, there's going to be some aggression like that. You got to be able to deal with it. And if you can't, well, tough luck. But yeah, the tick micro, especially early on, retreating that tick, having a buddy tick come up, and then it's 2 ticks against 1. And, if you play it just right, like Kuchy did, then it's, it's really hard for, both those ticks can survive. So it's really hard for the that player, not to get any kills at all during that. And then yeah, the pawn follow up, that just once the ticks were gone, that just like really hurt. And there might have been some economic stuff on the backside of that also attributed to those issues.
Game
but yeah, let's
started.
get our next game started. This time it looks like Kuchy has spawned as our blue player at the bottom left, playing Cortex. So no Armada for Kuchy this game. Meanwhile, Marabello spawned at the top center. There's really two center positions here. He took the top right. Starts with the solar. Wind isn't like that great, so I think that's a good choice. Kuchy, meanwhile, same thing, solar, but he's doing, he's got 3 mexes here. I think that's just like a pretty big difference in the spawn positions. I think these corner positions are actually pretty valuable because you don't have to walk so far, especially the one on the low ground here. But then, of course, if you take that position, you got this hill right outside your base, so it's you got to get a radar up there. You got to get some scouting information in that territory. It's a little bit harder to do. In fact, I'm kind of curious. Okay, so the radars do penetrate that hill. But yeah, a little bit of a shadow that you have to worry about. So ideally, yeah, a radar like on the hill here, or on the the peak here of the hill, would be pretty good. And of course, you could also do things like put one over here. It's also pretty good. Just to see ahead a bit. But yeah, I mean, with the ramp here, it's not too steep or it's not too tall that radar can't get over it. So it's really not a bad position for Kuchy at this point. Because yeah, those 3 mexes being so close together certainly help out. But yeah, Kuchy opening with 3 solar here. Marabello, a little bit slow to add on some energy here, has boosted out a con, boosted out some ticks. Second con on the way. But yeah, just like not quite enough energy in the bank here to really do some boosting. So he's going to need to keep adding on some wins. And, this is just pretty tricky. I mean, at this point, seeing that there is some economic issues here, and I believe they probably happened in the first game as well, I would have to say, I would chalk this up to nerves. So like if, I don't really know Marabello, so, I'm kind of giving them the benefit of the doubt because, a 43 generally won't make mistakes that big. So I would think it'd be nerves or something like that, kind of getting in the way. Yeah, and and that happens for sure. Like you got to get used to playing tournaments. I would certainly be nervous playing a tournament. I would screw everything up. But yeah, Kuchy defending that hill with a light laser tower here. Does have some grunts running across the map, and they fare pretty well against ticks now. So since they don't really miss ticks anymore, this one soul grunts can certainly do a lot here. So it's going to be really important how Marabello engages this. And hopefully he'll be producing a pawn or something soon. Yeah, he's going right into pawns after this constructor. And so, yeah, that brings him up to 3 constructors and a resbot. Use that engagement. Pawn coming up, but yeah, it's so hard for these ticks to get close enough. And by the time they do, it's like 5 of them die, and it's like, geez. But the pawns, on the other hand, pawns do a little bit better than they used to. So picks off that grunt there. Let's take a look at Kuchy's base. How many constructors we got? We got 1 constructor. Yeah, 1 constructor resbot. So, I think this is kind of, been a little bit more in the meta lately is like being careful how many constructors you make. And then you can just like get out a lot of units. I've seen that at various levels of play too. It's just like people, expanding less and just going a little bit more full into pawns and grunts, and just units to defend with, to lay down pressure. And if the map's small enough, you can certainly, get away with a lot of pressure, especially if the mechs is so far apart. When they're far apart like this, like it's harder to defend them with towers. It's harder to get like cons out to positions, and so aggression can be a little bit stronger here. And then also, like I should mention that the high ground here, the mountains, are passable by bots. So bots can go all around here. No problem. And by the way, the water is only -5, so ticks can pass it. If it was -6, they could not. So that is like the defining thing. You can see at the bottom left here, elevation -5. So yeah, just a bit of nuance to the tick. You know, because otherwise, in a lot of cases, people just generally say ticks can't cross water, but they in fact can on this map. In fact, we see ticks on the other side of the map. So yeah, you know, six ticks here. There is a tower. There's a grunt. So I don't think these are really going to get much done here. But yeah, just that singular tower out in the open, able to get picked off. And yeah, Marabello here has to be really careful. I mean, he's got 2 cons in this position. I think he'll be just fine. It's just a couple of grunts, but you know, in the past, like these couple of grunts could seriously like hurt this position. You know, outranging the pawns and all that. But yeah, if you're paying attention, you can send your pawns forward and defend just fine. So I think he should be totally fine here. But yeah, little engagements across the map. And Kuchy taking a bit of an early, you know, he's moved his commander out already, which has given him some extra income. And, you know, looking back at his base, he's got a couple of nanos, so like it's not like he's not producing units with whatnot. Marabello here, no nanos yet. So this is certainly hurting him in the long term. And yeah, honestly, like, you know, putting one down right now would be really helpful. Just to, you know, just to crank out some units. He might be feeling the pressure though. His cons are under attack here, and he's not being too careful with them. It looks like he's gonna lose at least that one. Pawn's coming back now, but you know, that certainly hurts a lot to lose that con. Losing the mexes as well hurts, but the cons especially. Yeah, Marabello here, you know, certainly plenty of cons out. It's just a matter of defending the cons, paying enough attention to all these different various parts of the map, because Kuchy is being everywhere. And yeah, this con is certainly going to go down. There's no defenders around. Maybe you can get the tower up in time, but no, Kuchy's running around in circles, abusing that. Well, I shouldn't say abusing, but like certainly using that flanking damage to his benefit. In case you guys don't know, units attacking behind a unit will get, you know, basically deal double damage. You know, from, you know, when I say behind, I don't mean like behind where it's facing. I mean behind where the first attack hit. Where the first attack hits, that's like the quote-unquote front of the flank, or the, you know, it's where there's no flank. And then, you know, 180 degrees behind that, that's where it does full damage, well, or full, you know, plus 100% damage. Anyways, I'm sure a lot of people probably already know that. But yeah, picking off some grunts, or some pawns here from with the grunts, abusing that range is nice to see, because grunts kind of need it. You know, they kind of need that extra range to, you know, and that extra damage to do well against pawns, because otherwise pawns just will overrun the position. Kuchy's turn to lose a con, as that one goes down, losing another mex as well. And yeah, I mean, Marabello here, you know, that's got units out now at this point. I mean, certainly has some Rex around too to resurrect, you know, and I think that'll help them a lot. But Kuchy is pretty far ahead, just because of that comm walk, you know. And if there's, yeah, okay, so he's adding on a couple of nanos now. Needs to, you know, add on some energy too. It's, you know, for sure run out. But yeah, hopefully soon he can, you know, start sending his commander out, because, you know, all that lost, you know, income is certainly not helping him. Oh, but yeah, this is going to hurt even more. Some incisors get in the back, attacking these mexes. And yeah, with those going down, like, you know, Marabello here can't really afford that. He needs to be able to keep as much as, you know, as much as he can up and running, because Kuchy is pulling ahead here. Double the income at this point. And yeah, with the transition into incisors, it's going to be even harder for these pawns to defend, at least when they're in smaller numbers. And yeah, unfortunately, this res bot's going to be taken out as well. Yeah, little things like that, like, are kind of a big deal at this level of play. Every little engagement, losing, you know, a unit here and there means, you know, now your opponent just has more stuff, and now every engagement in the future is going to be even harder. And yeah, at this point, it's just like, it's looking pretty grim. And Pounder's even coming out here. Pounder's exceptionally good at dealing with pawns. And yeah, I believe that was a GG called. Yeah, so that's unfortunate for Marabello being knocked out of this tournament in the round of
Battle
6.
ended.
But yeah, a little bit of a shorter one for this cast. But I hope you guys enjoy the fact that it's, you know, that it's here, because I don't think this was covered on the main stage. I am Zeteo, and I will continue making some Alpha Cup casts, you know, throughout the week, and you know, just going throughout this tournament, so, or through the rest of the tournament. So there will be plenty of other videos for you guys to see. Yeah, anyways, that's it for me. Have a good day.